What's up, movie fans? Okay, guys, I'm just gonna say this right off the bat before we get into anything. Spoilers. If you do not want Peacemaker Season 2 spoiled for you, leave the video right now. This is not going to be a spoiler-free review like I normally do. I concluded that there is absolutely no way that I can talk about all of my thoughts on this season of the show without getting into spoilers on it. So, we recently got Peacemaker Season 2. It's been a long wait for this because Season 1 of Peacemaker came out 3 years ago. But for another thing, a lot has changed at DC in those 3 years, so this season of Peacemaker takes place in an entirely different universe than the first season of Peacemaker, which means that in this season we get some retcons that I actually thought were pretty clever. I thought the way that they retconned the Justice League cameo in the previously on, that was pretty funny and that was pretty clever. This season is the third piece of content in this new DC universe that James Gunn is doing. Creature Commandos and Superman were the first two. Yeah, I have a lot to say about this season because I'm kind of mixed on it overall, which I did not expect. As of me filming this, the finale came out last night. If you had asked me before the finale, I would have said, this season is great. It's a fantastic season on the same level as the first season, maybe even a little bit better. But now that I've watched the finale, I'm very mixed on this season, and I'm very confused about a lot of elements of it. So, yeah, let's just get into it, starting with the stuff that I liked about this season. Because obviously, for the most part, I was extremely positive on this season. So, getting into the stuff that I liked, they chose two very, very clever, fantastic plot lines to follow in this season. Where, for one thing, having Rick Flag Sr. be essentially the villain of this season, that was pretty much genius. Because, obviously, Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Sr.'s son in the Suicide Squad, and so having Rick Flag Sr. be the main villain of a Peacemaker season, basically seeking revenge for his son's death, like, that was just a stroke of genius. I thought that was fantastic. And then the other main plot line in this season is one that was a bit more unexpected, where this season actually goes into the multiverse, which I really did not see coming. And, like, a lot of the time with modern superhero projects, when they do multiverse stuff, because obviously we've gotten a lot of that in the past few years, they're normally, like, using it to give us a bunch of cameos, a bunch of, like, Easter eggs to the comics and stuff like that. Peacemaker Season 2 really doesn't do that. In this season, all of the multiverse stuff is entirely important to the story, where in this season, Chris, Peacemaker, is basically realizing that his entire life is a mess. He's killed so many people that are important to him. His guilt about that is only being brought back to the forefront by the fact that Rick Flag Sr. is seeking revenge and all of that stuff. And in the middle of all of this, he discovers an alternate universe where everything is perfect. He has the perfect life that he's always wanted. His father's alive. His brother's alive. His father is actually a loving father who genuinely cares about him. Harcourt is actually into him in that timeline. And so it's really interesting how in this season, the alternate universe isn't used to give you a bunch of cameos, it's used as a genuine source of temptation. Where, in the first episode, Peacemaker accidentally kills his alternate self, and suddenly he is left with this temptation where he has the perfect opportunity to just switch lives and get the life that he has always wanted. And I think that that was a very interesting story, and it led to a lot of really interesting internal conflict with Chris that builds to this very heartbreaking place where, I'm just going to say it since I'm allowed to go into spoilers in this video, eventually you find out this universe isn't perfect. It is a deeply messed up Nazi universe, which, by the way, amazing twist. It was an easy twist to see coming, but the way it was executed, just chef's kiss. That was so good. I loved it. Chris learns that this universe is actually really messed up, but despite that, his father still isn't a problem in this universe. His father still loves him. His father genuinely isn't a Nazi in this universe and is actually fighting back against the system. And then right when he figures that out, his father dies. And that leads Peacemaker into feeling even more guilt because now he's showed that he just leads death to the people he cares about. And he found this universe where everything was perfect, at least for him, and he messed it up. And it's a very interesting internal conflict for him to have. And then the internal conflicts of the other characters in this season I thought were also fantastic. Adebayo, I will say, Adebayo didn't get a lot of screen time in the first half of this season, and I was a little bit disappointed by that. But in the second half, they actually used her perfectly, where she's the one person in this group of very messed up people that you follow in Peacemaker who is kind of normal, and she's the one who's kind of able to bring out the best in everybody else. That's great. That's how you use her as a character. But also her entire conflict in this season where she's like in this difficult spot with her wife because they want very different things in life, and it eventually leads to Adebayo realizing in the finale they can't be together. I thought that was super interesting. I would have liked a little bit more focus on that, to be honest, because it really only comes up in the first episode and then the last episode, but it was still a good arc for her to have. Chris and Harcourt is probably the most interesting part of this season. Just the fact that Chris really wants to be with Harcourt because, he really genuinely cares about and loves her, but Harcourt is so closed off from her feelings that she just cannot feel the same way about him. That was very interesting. I really loved that. Economos was a ton of fun in this season. He gets a lot more focus in this season than he did in season 1, and I love just his entire story arc about him mostly being a coward, but realizing that, he needs to step up to save his friends at certain points. Vigilante is just comic relief. That's all he's used for. He's not really important to anything else in the season. He's just comic relief. But I genuinely did think that he was really, really funny with all of the different running jokes that they had in this season with him, whether it be him meeting his alternate self in this other universe and you finding out that the alternate version of him is just as much of a doofus as he is, or the entire running joke where throughout the whole season he keeps asking people to quiz him on animal facts. I loved all of that. I thought he was great. I thought, comedy in this season, it's not as overtly comedic as season 1. It does get a lot more into dramatic elements in this season, but when the comedy is there, it's on point. I absolutely loved the subplot with Eagly and Michael Rooker's character in this season. I thought that whole thing was hilarious. I was very worried that they were going to go in a much darker direction with that plotline, but then at the end of the season, or I guess halfway through the season, where you find out Eagly really is the god of eagles, and then he just kills Michael Rooker's character. That was pretty epic. That was a lot of fun. Other general things that I liked in this season, I thought Rick Flag Sr. was a great antagonist. Like I said, I just like the concept of him being driven by revenge and trying to kill Peacemaker. That was really interesting. Judo Master was a ton of fun in this season. Judo Master was mostly just used for comic relief in season 1, but in this season he gets a little bit more to do, and I liked that. I liked some of the new characters. Tim Meadows' character was really, really funny with the whole bird blindness plotline. I liked the intro this season. A lot of people didn't care for the intro, but I thought that intro was kind of better than the season 1 intro. I don't know, I just thought it was more complex and fun. So, yeah. A lot of things about Peacemaker Season 2 that I really, really loved. Now let's get into the bad. The simple fact with Peacemaker Season 2 is that this season feels structurally completely wrong. And that's the thing that really ruined it for me, is that you have this entire main plot line about Peacemaker wanting to go to this other universe to get a new life over there. But if you really tally it up, you only spend 3 episodes of the entire 8-episode season actually exploring that other universe. The rest of the season is all about, Argus trying to break into Peacemaker's house and get into this door, which just isn't as interesting. Yeah, you can have some episodes about that, but that's the entire first half of this season, and you have episode 3 there as a little interlude where you go to the other universe, and then you don't really return to it until episode 6, and it's I don't know, I felt that was a really, really weird way of structuring the season, because I think we should have spent way more time exploring this alternate universe and developing Chris's connections to these alternate versions of the people he cares about to make the twist reveal about them all being Nazis hit even harder. And then, the other thing is that you get this whole reveal that this universe is a Nazi universe, and when that reveal happened at the end of episode 6, I immediately thought, okay, this is going to be the last 2 episodes of the show are going to be all about them trying to escape from Nazi world and fighting the Nazis. And no, that's not what happens, because they're out of the Nazi world by episode 7. And to be honest, they really didn't fight or kill that many Nazis. Judo Master electrocuted some of them to death in a pool, but that was about it. And so I just felt that was a really weird plot line to introduce just to kind of waste. And then the finale is what really, really made me realize all of my problems with this season, because then you get into the finale and it's it doesn't have anything to do with what we were doing the rest of the season. Suddenly the finale is all about Rick Flag Sr. and Lex Luthor's crew trying to find a new universe that they can use as a prison for metahumans. And it's if that was his goal the entire season, why didn't you establish that multiple episodes ago? Instead, you try to cram this into a finale that feels very overstuffed while also not feeling very eventful. Like, I genuinely did not like the finale of this season. I thought that, like, certain emotional beats hit pretty hard. Like, I liked Chris and Harcourt finally realizing that they love each other, and Adebayo breaking off her relationship with her wife. All of that stuff, that hit hard. But, like, this plotline about them suddenly opening their own business and this whole thing about Rick Flag searching for this other universe, like, that stuff came out of nowhere to me, and it didn't feel like a really interesting conclusion to this season. It felt very anticlimactic. And so, yeah, I was very disappointed by the finale of this season. And then you get to the ending. It ends with Chris being trapped in this alternate universe prison. Rick Flag puts him there as the first prisoner. And, like, okay, where are we going with this exactly? Like, James Gunn has said they might not do a season 3 of Peacemaker. So, like, what's happening here? I understand that complaint might not age that well, because I imagine this alternate universe is probably going to come back at some point, and Peacemaker will probably come back at some point in another piece of DCU media. But, like, I don't know. I felt very disappointed by the finale. Like, my reaction when I finished the finale was really just, that was it? Like, that was what we were building towards this whole time? That didn't feel natural to me. And so, yeah, I don't want to say it's bad. Like, Peacemaker Season 2 is not bad. I enjoyed so much of this season. I loved spending more time with these characters. I thought the performances were excellent. I loved the twist reveals. I loved so much of this season. But that finale, I really just don't get it. And I really think that, like, if that was what we were building towards, the entire structure of this season was just wrong. And like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty disappointed. This might be the first thing that James Gunn has ever made that has genuinely disappointed me. And I'm pretty sad about that. So, like, yeah, once again, I can't say that this season is bad, because I enjoyed so much of it. But I'd say I can't really call it that good either. So 6 out of 10. I'm very sad to say that, but that is the score that I am going to have to go with. I'm very disappointed in this. Peacemaker Season 2, I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more from it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on Peacemaker Season 2? I've actually seen a lot of very heated discussion about this online, where some people are saying that this season was amazing, better than Season 1, and other people are kind of with me, where we're like, I mean, it was alright, but like, kind of disappointing. So I'm very curious where my audience lands in this discussion. What did you think of Peacemaker Season 2? And see ya, movie fans.